Hey guys, good morning. Thank you so much for being here and checking out my daily videos for positivity and upliftment, because that's a word now, I'm making it up. Um, Most of you know this, but if you're new, welcome. And I used to be addicted to drugs and alcohol and suicidally depressed, and now I am better and happy and joyful, and I still have negative emotions, but I know how to deal with them today. And I've been sober for over 5 years, and I just want to share, because I didn't do this alone, and I'm not super special. I did this, and I'm doing it from getting lots of help from the wise people who have done all this kind of stuff before me. So I'm just sharing what I'm learning along the way, and hopefully it's helpful and fun. And the good news is, if you don't like this video, there's another one tomorrow, because I do them every day. So hello, welcome, thank you for being here. So last night I was making death shrouds, and today I was making a mock dead body to wrap this shroud around. And I never would have guessed that I would be doing that. It's for an art class. No one really died. It's a metaphorical death that I'm thinking about. So it's the end of my semester, and I've been in this art class, and it's called Warrior Art. And I've just been thinking a lot about what it means to be a warrior artist, or to be the kind of person who just really goes for what they want. And this is about having no excuses and pushing past fear and doing the big things that we really want to do. Whether it's in art or in life, you know, these things are all connected, right? So I have been thinking a lot about death, and like I said, metaphorical death, and how the creative journey is so linked to my recovery journey from drugs and alcohol, because I had to put to death parts of myself that weren't working. I had to bury old habits. I had to bury and kind of kill off parts of me that weren't serving me anymore, that were old, that were holding me back. And it's been really interesting, and it's been really challenging. And in my creative career, it shows up when I decide to practice constraint, which I've talked about before, and it's very beneficial, but there's always this trepidation. When I speak of constraint as it relates to creativity, I'm talking about how most of us creative types have a billion awesome ideas all the time. And I've noticed for myself, and I think a lot of you can relate, that especially when I'm trying to focus on one project is when I start getting even more ideas. It's like it trips something, the creative juices are flowing, the creative gods are like, she's here, she's working, let's give her more. So constraint can be really valuable, but also really scary, because it feels like we're killing off our little idea babies, or we're missing out on something, or it's like we're killing off possibility in a way. And we are, in a way. When I decided to just focus on murals and getting that part of my business up and running, everything else had to kind of die for a little bit. It had to go off to the side. All the writing I want to do, all the music I want to make, all the different kinds of art. I want to work with textiles and fabric and installation and performance. All these things kind of get to take a back seat while I focus on just the one thing. And so it feels important to acknowledge these losses. And when I got sober, I had to deal with this too. When I got sober, there were all these identities that came to my attention that I basically had to say goodbye to. I had to say goodbye to alcohol as a coping mechanism, and that seems like it would be easy to do, especially if you have not been addicted to a substance. Here's this thing that's physically, literally killing me, and yet it was my best friend, and it was something that gave me comfort, and it was there for me during really hard times initially. And it doesn't matter that it ended up causing the hard times towards the end. At the beginning, it was there and it helped. And then there's all these identities that I created around who I was when I was dealing with all that trauma, and when I was out in the world as a mess and drinking and using. And when I got sober, I had to let all that stuff just fall away and be like, who am I really? And different personas had to fall away, and different ego constructs fall away. As I transitioned out of different careers, those identities had to fall away. So all this has just kind of been on my mind, and so I made this huge painting yesterday with my body, and it was a shroud, and I'm going to hang it up on the wall. Oh, I should show you, but it's packed because I have class today. Maybe I'll show you later. I kind of would like to turn it into a bigger piece. But anyways, I was just thinking about like putting things to rest and acknowledging the negative and the hard feelings that come up from doing that. Like, just because something is the right thing to do and it's going to be better for us in the long term doesn't mean that it's easy. It doesn't mean that there's not some sadness or some grieving or some loss that comes with that. So whether you're dealing with the loss of identity or old ways of life or old friends, if you're on the recovery journey, just take some time to acknowledge that somehow. And be gentle with yourself and just give some time. Like, I was so surprised as I was making this fake dead body to wrap the shroud around, how real it looked and how tender I felt around it, and how many emotions came up when I was making the shroud. And after I had it all wrapped up, this reverence that I felt for it, and when I would pick it up to carry it to the thing I was packing it in to take it to school, it all just felt very sweet and tender. And I feel like ritual and stuff like this can be so helpful when we're dealing with feelings. And that's why I love art, and that's why I think art needs to be so connected to recovery, because there's things that come up that we were drinking over or using over that once we're sober, they're just up, and we don't necessarily have language for them. But art and creativity can be such a potent tool to just sort of move that energy around and to let that stuff heal. So I don't know what this video is all about necessarily. I don't know if I'm telling you to like go make a death shroud today. Mostly what I'm talking about is like the death of identities and the death of old ways of living is real, and it can feel like real actual grieving. And so if you're in that, I feel ya, and I'm giving you permission to feel that and be with that and express it somehow. Move that around somehow. It might not look like painting on yourself in the kitchen, but maybe it does. So, and I'd love to hear how you navigate that stuff if you feel like sharing in the comments. Thank you for being here. I will see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye.